We got so caught up talking. The day got late, as the last sliver of sunset disappeared. My phone rang. Damien must have gotten impatient when I didn't come back. I pressed answer. His icy voice came through. "Where are you?" I took the kids to the amusement park. "Having fun?" "Yeah, of course." "Huh, I can see you smiling pretty wide from here." His voice dropped another degree. I froze. "Scarlett, look outside." I turned my head and saw the familiar Bentley across the street. The back window rolled down. Damien was staring coldly at us. Our eyes met from a distance. My heart clenched. "I don't want to make a scene in front of the kids. You'd better come over here quietly, or I can't promise what might happen." He hung up without another word. Julian saw my expression change and asked what was wrong. I shook my head. "It's getting late. I need to take the kids home." We walked to the entrance to say goodbye. Julian grabbed my arm, worried. "Scarlett, are you in some kind of trouble? If you need anything, just tell me." A pair of cold eyes was boring into me. I quickly pushed his hand away. "Julian, thank you. I'll see you around." I took the kids and left. The car was filled with a heavy, oppressive silence. Damien stared at his laptop, expressionless, like he was trying to burn a hole through it. Aurora tugged my sleeve. "Mommy, I didn't get to say bye to Uncle Julian. When can I see him again?" Before I could think of what to say, snap! The laptop was forcefully shut. Damien gritted his teeth, suppressing his rage, and tried to make his face look gentle. "Aurora, is that the Uncle Julian you mentioned? He's not your daddy, is he?" "Mommy said my daddy died a long time ago." Damien frowned, took a deep breath, held it in some more. He couldn't hold it anymore. He shot me a cold glare. "Scarlett, you've really outdone yourself. How much could you possibly love a man to live like a widow to a dead man?" "Love, no. Fear, maybe." I ignored him, softly soothing Aurora and telling her to focus on her homework when we got home. We arrived at the villa. Damien's face was grim. He pulled me towards the bedroom, saying we needed to talk. The moment we were inside, he pushed me down onto the sofa. I struggled. Damien wedged himself between my legs, pinning me down. His furious voice washed over me. "Tell me the truth. How many other men do you have out there?" "If I tell you, will you let me go?" "Don't even think about it." Damien's eyes burned with a mix of savagery and dark possessiveness. "Then I've got nothing to say." I decided I didn't want him to know that Damien was the kid's father. I could never win a custody battle against him. I'd already lost Sebastian. I couldn't lose Aurora, too. "Who is Aurora's father? How did you meet him? Why did you agree to have his baby? Do you still love him? Do you still think about him even though he's dead?" Damien's rage was overwhelming. Jealousy, long suppressed, had grown thorns deep in his heart. A living man, he could still do something about. But a dead one? How could he compete? I refused to say a word. Furious, he bit my lip like a punishment. The forceful kiss left me breathless. He held the back of my head, refusing to let me pull away. "Scarlett, why do you treat me like this? Why are you all smiles for everyone else, but you can't give me one good look?" His voice was hoarse. He dragged me into the bathroom. His black suit jacket fell to the floor, his hot body pressed against mine. I looked at his fit form, feeling both embarrassed and flustered. "Damien, what are you doing?" "I'm going to prove to you that I'm better than any of them." He kissed my neck, his eyes dark, his hands locked around my waist. Damien tilted my chin up, forcing me to look at myself in the mirror. That night, I'd rather not think about, because Damien kept me hanging the whole time. He wouldn't let me come, wouldn't let me go. He wanted me to tell him the truth, and me not telling him had consequences. I have to admit, he knew what he was doing. He made me change the sheets twice. Total animal. I ignored him the next day, and stayed cold with him for quite a while. At the same time, Damien restricted my freedom. He wouldn't let me leave the house. He arranged for people to pick up and drop off the kids. He took my phone. I felt like I was back in the old days, trapped by him. Every second of it suffocated me. But Damien was busy. There were times he couldn't keep an eye on me. At the end of the month, he had to go to Los Angeles on a business trip. He left in a hurry. I knew really he was going to find Vivian. Things between Vivian and Christian had been rocky lately. They were on the verge of divorce. That was when the villain would have a chance to slip in. Anything involving Vivian, Damien was always the most tense about. Sometimes I envied the heroines in books. So many people loved them. And I was just the evil side character. Even though I hadn't done anything that bad, I'd still had a miserable childhood. In this world, no one truly loved me. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Aurora crept in carefully. Mommy, I'm ready. Tonight I was planning to take the kids and leave the capital. Aurora and I walked to the villa's main gate. It was time for the guards to change shifts. I'd realized the gate had a keypad lock. Damien was so paranoid, he'd really thought of everything. I tried a few passwords, all wrong. Suddenly, I heard footsteps behind me. Sebastian stood there in his pajamas, watching me calmly. I'd secretly asked him before, many times, if he wanted to come with me. But he always shook his head. Only once, he'd said quietly, Daddy would be sad. I'd been stunned. He'd raised Sebastian for 4 years. Of course, he was more attached to him than to me. Now, bathed in moonlight, I looked at Sebastian's little face, thinking he'd come to stop me. He walked forward a few steps and took my pinky finger in his hand. Then he keyed in the passcode and opened the gate. He was helping me, silently. Aurora and I walked out. Sebastian watched us through the gaps in the iron gate. His expression was still calm, like he wasn't affected by anything. But I knew he was feeling something. He just couldn't show it. My heart ached. I hesitated. If I didn't leave today, I might never get another chance. I didn't want Aurora to be locked up in a beautiful cage like this. I hardened my heart and walked away with Aurora. We were almost at the corner. Aurora stopped, her voice choked with tears. Mommy, I don't want to leave brother. He's all alone in that big house. No one talks to him. I looked at her red-rimmed eyes. I didn't want to leave him either. The moonlit path was dark and hazy. I stared at the freedom ahead and sighed. Finally, I decided to go back. I took Aurora back to the house. Sebastian was sitting in the living room, staring into space. In his hands was the fairy tale book I used to read to them. He looked at us in shock, confused. I hugged him and stroked his hair. Sebastian, we're not leaving. Aurora and I couldn't leave you. We want to stay with you. I figured I'd wait until I got closer to Sebastian, then run away with him too. The boy in my arms was frozen. A few seconds later, a tiny voice came. Mommy? My heart jolted. It was the first time he'd ever called me that. Hey baby, Mommy's here. It was late by the time I got the kids to sleep. I was taking a shower in the bathroom. Suddenly, I heard the door slam open, thinking it was one of the kids. I hurriedly wrapped myself in a bathrobe and came out. I came face to face with the disheveled Damien. He stared at me and let out a breath of relief. You didn't leave. When the security system sent him an alert, he'd panicked, wrapped up his business overnight, and flown back by helicopter, terrified he'd be too late. I looked at his rumpled clothes. The thing that caught my eye was the gift box in his hand. What's that? He pressed his lips together. Your birthday is next week. I got you a present. I took it. Inside was an emerald bracelet. I'd seen it in a magazine before. It was supposedly made by a famous artist and had sold for a high price at auction. The gemstone was incredibly bright, glittering even under the dim indoor lights. What woman didn't love something sparkly? When I was little, no one ever remembered my birthday. I could only watch longingly as my cousin received all those pretty gifts. Damien saw I wasn't reacting, and his mouth tightened. If you don't like it, throw it away. I just bought it on a whim. I didn't say I didn't like it. I happily accepted it and put it away carefully. When I turned back, I caught him staring intently at me. I'd just gotten out of the shower. Water droplets still clung to my hair, not yet dried. They dripped down onto my collarbone, disappearing into my bathrobe. I quickly pulled my collar tighter and moved to close the door. You should go. I'm going to sleep. We're married. Of course we sleep together. He grabbed the door and squeezed inside. His tall figure loomed over me, his presence overwhelming. Suddenly, I remembered the male and female lead getting divorced. Did you see Vivian when you were in Los Angeles? Why would I see her? She's getting divorced. Aren't you going to do something about it? What does that have to do with me? Damien frowned. You want me to go to her so you can get close to Christian? That's ridiculous. I don't even like Christian. He snorted. Right. You've got so many men around you. Christian probably wouldn't want you anyway. His sarcastic tone made no sense to me. But since when had Damien changed? I thought he cared about Vivian. You used to protect Vivian all the time. You don't like her anymore? I never liked her. I must have been out of my mind. What was going on? How had the villain gone off script? Before I could figure it out, Damien stepped closer, his eyes dark with desire. It's late. Let's go to sleep. I backed away nervously. Don't you dare. The kids are right next door. If we woke Aurora up, I wasn't going to be the one to calm her down this time. He could do it. Mentioning the kids cooled his gaze a little. Damien took a deep breath. He patted his pockets, probably planning to step onto the balcony for a smoke. Suddenly, his brow furrowed tightly. "What's wrong?" I asked. "My lighter. It's gone." Damien's expression was incredibly tense. He turned and went downstairs, searching everywhere he'd been. Still nothing. Seeing how upset he looked, you'd think he'd lost the company seal or something. "It's just a lighter. Buy a new one." When I said that, he shot me a look. It was so complicated, I couldn't read it. Damien walked out the front door without a word. He searched high and low. Finally, in the back seat of the car, he spotted the old metal lighter. Damien came back holding it like a lost treasure found again. I couldn't help asking, "Is it some limited edition lighter? Why are you so worried about it?" "No." He looked at me steadily. "You gave it to me." I was stunned. "When?" "You don't remember." Damien's eyes dropped, dejected. "Scarlett, you don't remember anything about me." I was about to press him for details, but he refused to say another word, like a sulky child.